I kind of like this. This actually might be like legitimately one of the nicer quality low profile boards I've seen in a long time. Today's board is from Chosfox. It's the VERO75, which not to be confused with another Vero. This is a low profile keyboard, which I'm excited for because I have been really liking low profile stuff. Look at this. Little low profile action going on. Pretty nice. Pretty nice, huh? So they didn't give me a price point for this, nor did they give me a release date. This is kind of a pre-look at this product for Chosfox. A little history with Chosfox. I've worked with them before. I actually like a lot of their products. Their custom keyboards have been hit and miss, but their switches and their low profile stuff have always been kind of fun. So I'm excited to look at this one here. They didn't really give me a whole lot of information on this. It's kind of one of those things where they basically said we can explore it on our own. Ooh, this is heavy. You know what, dude? I kind of like this. Oh, neat. Yeah, this is very neat. So, okay, this is more rounded corners everywhere, which I think looks really good, actually. I wonder how much this is. I have a feeling this is gonna be pricey. Obviously, if we even care about the side profile here, but it actually is pretty fun side profile. And then we have these two large feet, which this caught my attention too. It has a toggle on the back, but look at that. You get a wireless toggle on the back, which I really appreciate. Dude, this is really good quality. Holy crap. This actually might be like legitimately one of the nicer quality, here's a dongle, nicer quality low profile boards I've seen in a long time. Wow. So you get a little cable and then you also get a screwdriver. I mean, you know what? Are they kind of saying that you can open this up? This also might be one of the few wireless boards that they're kind of, maybe, I don't want to say encouraging to open up, but I mean, hell yeah, let's take a look inside. I mean, actually first, let's take a little typing test, I guess. Maybe not too expensive. Yeah, they're usually budget, right? Like, that's what I'm thinking too. Usually, typically, they're more budget oriented. All right, let's see what this sounds like. Yeah, the spacebar seems a bit flat, but it's also low profile, so. I love the feeling of the alphas. The spacebar feels a bit dead to me, and I'm not sure why that is. Maybe it is a little rattly. We'll probably open it up towards the end. The keycaps are all right, I would say. It's a two-tone keycap set. It's very subtle, but this is blue and this is gray. Or I don't even know if that's intentional or not, because it also looks like, for whatever reason, this one cap right over here is also this dark gray black color. So, but it does look like there's a mod color and an alpha color. I want to see what's inside this bad boy. I actually really like when companies send early releases or early looks at stuff. I actually prefer it. I don't like being subject to getting a board and being like, it's $100 something and it comes out 2 days. I like being able to say like, all right, the company sent this out to us. We can give them this information back. They can make changes and then give us a better estimate of everything, right? This was intended, like I mentioned, they wanted just feedback on this. And they asked if I can also do some content around it too. So I actually, believe it or not, I prefer kind of going into this blind a little bit and then giving feedback to the companies. It's happened, not often, but it's happened a little bit here and there. Is this hot swap? I don't think it is. Oh, it is. Nice. Hot swap, Kale switches. Awesome. Oh my God, there is. This is stacked with foam. Holy smokes. Okay, first of all, the ribbon cable on top is not my preferred thing, but there is a small little daughter board that's sitting on the top of this frame. So for those interested in opening this up, I almost feel like there's too much pressure being pushed up onto the spacebar. Yeah, I might. But let's see, what else, and how can we even disassemble this? So there's a lot of this foam, but a lot of it is adhered to the bottom of the case, which almost, okay, and I see if I try to take this off, it's gonna rip the foam. You guys see that right there? So it does seem like a lot of this is adhered to the bottom. You can even see the tape. So it's weird because it almost feels like they're pushing you to open this by giving you a screwdriver, but then there's not really a whole hell of a lot you can do, which is a weird choice. The batteries are also put on both sides of the PCB, which is interesting. Then we have, so I guess this is, oh, this is for LEDs. What the hell are the LEDs for? Maybe to tell you what mode it's on? There's LEDs that shine through that little hole in the bottom there. Interesting nonetheless on the inside here. There's hot swap sockets you guys can kind of see. Not really though. You guys can kind of see the hot swap sockets here on the back. So let's try to like get this back in place here. I don't love the internals of this board. I think the internals need some finessing for sure. What I would have done if like, this is not a problem having the two cables here for sure, but I would have not put adhesive on this at all. I don't see even the need for adhesive. Like if this is going to be closed, then like what's the point of having the adhesive? So I guess I'm not really understanding. I guess the foam is sort of necessary to help protect the batteries from being punctured, but even so, like I wouldn't want to stick adhesive everywhere just for the sake of locking it into place. I also think this cable's just like way too long right now. Well, I'm also gonna just take off these two little gaskets here. Ah, this is probably why this part feels so weird too. So, I don't know if you guys can see this. I'm gonna try to zoom as much as I possibly can here. The spacebar actually sounds like, if I put my thumb underneath, it's a pretty normal sounding spacebar. This, the little toggle, is also connected to the PCB here. So it's hard to show you guys, but it's essentially right here. This is the toggle. It's making contact with this piece and creating a very fixed point right under the spacebar. So that's what we're hearing. We are hearing the rattle basically of this toggle switch on the bottom. Now what they probably could do is they probably could just fix some sort of like foam thing here, but I do think this is maybe a bit of a poor placement for this because I'm a firm believer, I don't know about you guys, I personally think when you're smacking down on a spacebar and it happens to be really, really, really firm, it ends up being a bit more fatiguing more than anything. But you know what? I am going to try putting a little piece of tape there because that could be some good feedback for them. Having this ribbon cable here and then also giving you screwdriver to, you know, like a screwdriver in promoting opening this up and making this kind of a messy install. I would honestly say this is a bit of a no-no. This is where even a pogo pen would make a lot of sense and just scrap this whole nonsense of having a ribbon cable. Or if it is going to be a ribbon cable, you just got to you got to find a way to put the daughter board on the bottom case. At that point there. Low key, why even have a daughter board in this particular board too? I would even argue that a low profile board doesn't even really benefit from having something like that. Oh yeah, I mean, I think right away I can tell you the spacebar feels a bit more opened up without the gaskets on the bottom there. But I can also still tell that there is this guy hitting the bottom of the case. But it does sound better without the gaskets being there. And I think, so here's my opinion with this. I think if you're going to do a low profile board, not only does it have to look attractive on the desk, which I think this looks attractive, but I think it has to compete with some of its big competition of good sounding low profile boards, which is like Low Free, Newfie's making some good stuff. There's a bunch of brands right now I will give this credit. I think it wants you to open this up for whatever reason. And I appreciate this is a no hassle way to open something up in terms of like not having to figure out where the screws are underneath adhesive feet. So I do appreciate that. But what I would change is the way that this opens up. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I don't think having the daughter board attached to a ribbon cable is like overall a smart idea. So if the end goal is to have you open this up a bit and mod things, which I don't even know what you'd mod, then I would change the internal construction. Those two standoffs on the plate sitting underneath the spacebar, awful. I would definitely get rid of those. And then also, again, I think it's a nice choice to have this toggle. Maybe where I would have preferred the toggle is like here or something. That way there, you know, when I'm using the board, I can just do this, lift it more. It's a little bit more like, I don't want to say ergonomic, but it feels a bit more natural to do this and just, you know, flip rather than take the board, flip it over, and then go through your cycle of moving this around. A little bit odd on the bottom here, but still, I appreciate the toggle. Not a lot of companies, for whatever reason, they still avoid using them. I think a lot of people think they take away from the look of the keyboard. I disagree. I think they add to the keyboard. It's so important for me to have those. And then I think maybe I would just reposition the daughter board entirely and even just put the battery wires in the daughter board. Design-wise though, and Anno, this is nice. This is also the heaviest low-profile board I think I've tried to date. Nothing has competed with how heavy this thing is. It's not a super heavy board, but it has some weight and some heft, which I really appreciate. Like, this feels super premium. Overall, I like the switches that they used, and the keycaps. I'm not gonna say I'm sold on the keycaps, but they're definitely all right. PBT. This one here is off color, so I think that's a mistake. Die-sub keycaps. They have different colors of this. I saw some other people got silver ones, but honestly, even this black looks pretty cool with how rounded the bezels are. Yeah, they're okay keycaps. You know what I would have done if I were them? I would have just offered either a dark, like a slate color, or all black. I think going with this blue, weirdly enough, and guys, I'm not saying this because I don't like blue, okay? But I do think going with the blue cheapens the look of the keyboard a little bit. But here's like some competition it has right now. Morgree's even making one, which I would say Morgree's is very, very beautiful aesthetically. And I like their keycaps a lot. But the only thing with Morgree is their sound profile is very plasticky in comparison. The more I use the Morgree one, the more I like typing on it, but the plasticky kind of sound profile is just okay. I do prefer the alphas on this guy. This, right away, I can tell you this feels way more solid and sounds more solid. But I would say the stabs need some work. Let's see. Let's see how good these stabs even are. Are these stabs dry? Let's see. This is like the most minimal amount of lube I've ever seen on pre-done stabs. Let's see if just adding a bit of lube helps this. I feel like it made the board sound a little bit more well-rounded with a bit more lube. But yes, I'd say the stabs are all a little bit light and lubricant. All right, I'll say one more thing that I'm kind of seeing as well. I don't know if this is going to get portrayed very well on my camera. And you guys can make fun of this all you want because you're going to make fun of me, not the board. But I almost feel like the board bulges a little bit in the center, like across the entire center. And maybe that's why maybe it's just a trick of my eye here, but I almost feel like that's kind of why the sound profile in the center is a bit weird. And I feel like it leans more towards the spacebar. And it might just be that toggle. Even though it's fine right now, like the toggle fully functions and we got it working, Might be the toggle. Perhaps how I reassembled it, but I doubt it. Overall, depending on what this sells for, I actually really like the overall even though this has its flaws, I like the overall project. Would I buy this over like a low free? If this price is good, if this ends up being like sub $130, I do love the alphas on this. I also don't mind the layout. If this is more than $150 though, I think maybe the low free stuff and even the Morgry board might make more sense. I have a feeling this will be sub 130, but it is nice. It just needs some fine tuning, which I hope they can do. Good night, everybody. Love ya. Say hi to Marcia.